Hello everyone, if you want to get rich on New World, you're going to have to do some research. Every single market on every single server is different from each other. So if one item on a server sells for really good in that market, it may not sell very good in a different market on a different server. So because of this, I can't recommend just one item or a couple different items to go out and farm, because even though those items may sell for a good amount of money on my server and there may not be very many people farming those items on my server, it may be a completely different story on your server. So what you need to do is visit your trading post, and once you're at the trading post, literally just start typing in any items you can think of, and you go one by one, and you can keep mental notes of the value of all of those items, or you can even write it down, or you can make Microsoft Excel spreadsheet and track all of the prices there. So first, let's type in hyssop. And it looks like hyssop right now on my server is selling for 38 cents each. And that's pretty good value considering how easy it is to get hyssop from herbs. Whereas we search for something like rawhide, which used to sell for this much on the server that I'm on. It used to sell for this value or even higher. Rawhide now only sells for 12 cents each, which really isn't that terrible either, but it's going to take you a lot of farming in order to get very much money off of rawhide, and you're not going to get rich very fast. So if I see something selling for 12 cents each, I'm probably not going to go for it. So let's try charcoal. Charcoal selling for 20 cents, but the plus side about selling charcoal is that people use it for so many different things and there's a high demand for it. So the moment you put it up on the market, it's basically going to get bought out right away. That's another thing that you need to try out with every single item you see on the market. If you see charcoal and you put up some charcoal and it doesn't sell at all, if you put it up for 14 days, whatever, it just kind of sits there, maybe you need to try a different item, because even though that item might have really good value that it's being sold for by everyone else, there aren't enough people that actually want that item. If that's the case, you might want to move on to some other item that you're farming. But in this case, I know from experience that charcoal sells very fast. Let's try something like moats. So if I type in fire moat, okay, so at the cheapest, these are selling for 58 cents each, but that's only one person. It looks like the vast majority of people are selling for at least 70 cents each. Okay, let's try death moats. Those are going for 74 cents each. Water moats are only going for about 45 cents each, so I probably wouldn't touch those. Earth moats are going all the way up for 145 each. Now that's pretty good compared to everything else I've seen so far, so this would be something that I might want to farm. But once again, there's something else I should add to this. In terms of charcoal, people are buying that really fast, and it's really easy to get charcoal because there's trees everywhere. Everybody can farm trees, and the trees just respawn so fast that you can just keep on going back and forth for charcoal, and you're always going to have a supply out in the wilderness for those trees. However, in order to get these earth moats, there's only so many plants or alchemy stones that you can farm to get these earth moats, and on my server, the experience I've had with trying to get these is there's a ton of competition. Basically, wherever these spawn, there's already people on my server that are farming this all day long. So yes, there's a ton of demand for it and people are buying these earth moats at this price, and you'll be able to sell them like right away. But the downside is when you actually go out and farm, it's going to be really hard to get your hands on these. So you're going to be spending a ton of time fighting over resources that other people are trying to farm at the same time, and it's going to be a lot more ineffective. So though the price is really good, I would probably avoid something like this. With this in mind, I'm going to type in something now that I found out about on my server, and once again, I don't know if this is going to be the way it is on your server, and that item is called tarragon. And tarragon on my server is selling for a crazy amount right now, $23.49 each. For those of you who don't know, tarragon comes from herb plants. So I was looking at hyssop earlier, and that's selling for like 39 cents each, right? Which is pretty good because there's herb plants everywhere, and you get a decent amount of hyssop from every single herb plant that you harvest. So that's going to rack up pretty quick. But this tarragon, there's only 2 different territories where you can get tarragon from the herb plants. So what you can do is type in something like this, Spices New World Herb Plants, and then this is the website that I like to go to. It's the top search for this. And then all you have to do, just scroll down from here, and they'll literally list where every single spice can be farmed from the herb plants in those locations. So you can go by territories, or you can go down here and then you can go spice by spice, and it'll tell you the different territories where those spices will drop. So if you're trying to focus in on one specific seasoning/spice, if we want to look for tarragon, this tells us that those will drop from herb plants in Brightwood, Ebonscale Reach, and Reekwater. So then once we have this information, we can go to a database map, which will show us where all of the herb plants spawn in these territories if you don't know where they currently do spawn. And I'll link the URL to this database map in the description of this video. Once you're visiting this map, what you're going to want to do is hide all in case you do already have something appearing on here, and then click on the cities and others tab and click select all, and that'll show you where all the territories and cities are at and settlements. And then once you have all that stuff clicked, then click on the plants tab and then click on herbs. And now if we remember, the tarragon is derived from herb plants that spawn in Reekwater, Brightwood, and in Ebonscale. So as you can see in Ebonscale, there's a ton of herb plants over here. If you go to Brightwood, there's only a couple. They spawn right here and right here. And then in Reekwater, there's some that spawn right down in here. So you can decide where you want to go and farm these herb plants to get that tarragon. And based on the market in my server, this is something I would really want to focus on farming. Even though the tarragon doesn't drop from every single herb plant that you harvest, it drops pretty frequently. And at this current price, it only takes about 4 tarragon before you get 100 coins. That's it. And every time I go out to farm tarragon, I'm coming back with about 50 to 60 of these, and that's going to add up to a lot of money, not including all of the money that you get from the hyssop that you're going to sell, and then any other resources you might be farming at the same time. That's something else that I want to add on to this. If you go out and farm something, you can also add in other items to farm at the same time as well. So let's say you decided to go farm in Reekwater for the herb plants down here. Well, there's only so many herb plants that spawn down in Reekwater, so you might want to farm something else at the same time, because whenever you farm one of these herb plants, it takes a certain amount of time for these plants to respawn. Let's say that you also searched up wire fiber and you found out that wire fiber's selling for 28 cents each, and that's a pretty decent price. So then what you do is go back to your database map and see if you could find any wire fiber that spawns close to the herb plants that you're going to farm. And as you can see, yes, there are some wire fiber plants that spawn over here. And then you could even throw in a third or fourth resource if you want. So I know for certain on my server, orichalcum ore right now is selling for a ridiculous amount. Yes, $1.99 each ore. Let's see if there's any orichalcum veins in this area. And yes, there are. So what you could do is start on the left here, wrap circles, get all the herb plants, get all the wire fiber, and then wrap down and get all of the orichalcum veins. And then there's even higher level animals in this area, and those higher level animals drop Ironhide. And though Ironhide doesn't sell for very much on my server, it's only 7 cents each. When you're farming high level animals, there's a chance that they drop a legendary resource, such as Scarhide, and each one of these Scarhide is selling for 13 each. And then there's also Smolderhide, and Smolderhide is selling for 12.50 each. Even though you won't get Smolderhide and Scarhide every single drop from those animals, there is a chance of it, and that'll add to the amount of money that you can start making. And the same goes for farming the wire fiber and the orichalcum. So when you're farming wire fiber, there's a chance of getting scale cloth, which is selling for 6 each. And then there's also a chance of getting blister weave, which is selling for 10 each. And then when you're farming orichalcum veins, you have a chance of getting tolvium, which sells for 18.9 each on my server. And then the cinnabar, which is selling for 22.50 each on my server. Just to wrap back to where we started, every single server is going to be different from the next server. The markets aren't going to be the same, and not every single item on every server is going to sell for the same amount. Some items may sell really good on one server, and they may sell really bad on a different server. And then there may be a lot of competition for farming for one item on one server, and there may be no competition for farming for that item on a different server. You're going to have to do some research, some guessing and checking, and after you test a couple different items out, find what sells and what doesn't sell, find what has demand and what doesn't have demand. After you do that, eventually you will find something that you can farm. It just takes a little bit of time, but once you find that item, just hammer it out, farm it nonstop over and over again. That's exactly what I've done, and to prove that this has worked for me, even though I only have 5,700 coins in my inventory at the moment, I have a complete set of void bent gear right now. Just this breastplate alone costs 18,000 coins. By doing this strategy of finding what sells and what doesn't sell, this has worked very well for me to make quite a bit of money and to make it at a fast rate. So that's all there is to it. If you have any questions on this at all, please post them in the comment section. Subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.